Homes.com knows that when it comes to home shopping, it's never just about the house or condo. It's about the home. And what makes a home is more than just the house or property. It's the location and neighborhood. If you have kids, it's also schools, nearby parks, and transportation options. That's why Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth information they need to find the right home. And when I say in-depth, I'm talking deep.
Each listing features comprehensive information about the neighborhood, complete with a video guide. They also have details about local schools with test scores, state rankings, and student-to-teacher ratio. They even have an agent directory with the sales history of each agent. So when it comes to finding a home, not just a house, this is everything you need to know all in one place. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Hello and welcome to Happier, a podcast where we talk about strategies, hacks, and suggestions for building happier habits into our everyday lives. This week, we'll talk about why it's useful to design our summer. And not unrelated, we will discuss the question of whether we prefer comfort or adventure. I'm Gretchen Rubin, a writer who studies happiness, good habits, the five senses, human nature. I'm here in my little home office in New York City, and joining me today from LA is my sister Elizabeth Kraft. And Elizabeth, I'm excited to be part of the design of your summer.
That's me, Elizabeth Kraft, a TV writer and producer living in LA. And yes, Gretch, you and I have a big adventure plan, which we are going to talk about today.
Yes, stay tuned. But before we jump in, listeners, this is a question just for me. I am thinking that I want to make July 4th into a family holiday, a family traditional holiday for Jamie and Eliza and Eleanor and me. Now that we're entering into the open door, I'm thinking July 4th has a lot of possibilities. July 4th was always special to us when we were growing up. That's our mother's birthday. But I'm thinking, what are some other interesting ways to make July 4th a fun holiday, but as always, things that are manageable, realistic. This is not the new Halloween. This is the new Groundhog Day in the level of stuff I want to do. So I would love to hear what people do for family traditions around July 4th.
Also, remember to send us questions for our Ask Us Anything episode and hacks for exercise, for hiking, for travel.
Yes, and the reason that we are asking for these hacks will be revealed, so stay tuned.
Yes.
And then finally, Christine writes, I loved your Sweep the Deck episode and was on such a productive kick that when I finished listening, I went back and re-listened to the original Clear the Decks episode, doubling down on all things deck. When cleaning out my purse, I found a ring wedged in a crease in the bottom that I thought I lost weeks ago. For the prompts that weren't relevant to me, I tried to adapt them. I didn't have any difficult emails to write, but I did have a few texts hanging over my head. I don't have any summer activities I needed to sign up for, but I did have a vet appointment to reschedule. It was much more fun than my regular weekend chores. I hope there will be more deck-themed episodes, and I think moving forward, I will pair those with a re-listen to the older ones as well. Yes, Elizabeth, I think that inadvertently we have launched ourselves on a series.
Yes.
And we need to continue to think of clever ways of bringing the deck into it.
Yes.
But I will post a link to the previous deck episodes. These are funny little get things done quick episodes. Everybody's getting a big kick out of them. I think they're so fun.
Yes, we had Clear the Decks and we had Deck the Halls and then Sweep the Decks.
Yes. Yeah. So, suggestions for other ways. And somebody said that if you didn't want to do Deck the Halls, you could do December. December is DEC.
Oh,
that's clever.
funny.
So maybe, other interesting ways to find a deck tie-in. I fear that we will be hitting the limits of our imagination soon if we don't get some good suggestions. But now this week's Try This at Home is to design your summer.
Yeah, so Gretch, we've talked about this before. Every year we talk about Design Your Summer, episodes 431, episode 325, episode 67.
Yeah, I think there's several episodes. I'll put links in the show notes for anybody who's interested in going back and listening. And here's the quotation that originally inspired us. This is from Robertson Davies' essay, 3 Worlds, 3 Summers. He wrote, "Every man makes his own summer. The season has no character of its own, unless one is a farmer with a professional concern for the weather. Circumstances have not allowed me to make a good summer for myself this year. My summer has been overcast by my own heaviness of spirit. I have not had any adventures, and adventures are what make a summer. And that's the point of Design Your Summer. It's in the busy day-to-day life. It's easy to think like, well, everything will be easier in the summer. We'll have so much time in the summer. We'll see friends. We'll get caught up on this. We'll go on those trips. We'll go on a picnic. We'll do it in the summer. And then the summer comes and goes, and it's never as long as we think it's going to be. And if we don't plan for things, if we don't design what we want to get out of the summer, especially something like an adventure, if it takes planning, it's very easy for the summer to fly by. And then before you know it, everything's cranking up again in the fall.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people think fun should be spontaneous. They should have, spontaneously go on a picnic. But the truth is, when we plan with intention, we ensure that we have the summer that we want and need.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with spontaneity, especially you rebels out there. I know you're saying, hey, I don't want to put anything on the calendar, but you can keep it spontaneous, but you could also just say like, this is sort of bucket list things, or these are things that we would like to get done. Let's look for opportunities for this, because part of it is just remembering, oh yeah, we're going to go to an amusement park. Or I always use the example of the state fair. You kind of need to just stop and look up, what are the dates of the state fair? Or here's something,
right.
Somebody was saying like, oh, the fireworks in our little town aren't on the 4th of July. They're on the Saturday before the 4th of July. So that's the kind of thing where you're like, on the 4th of July, by the time it occurs to you to think, oh, maybe we should go watch the fireworks, they might have already happened. So you just need to sometimes think ahead to make sure that you have the summer that you want.
Gretchen, you always do a summer of reading.
Yes. So I've done this for the last several years. I'll pick the theme for the summer. So I'll read other things as well. But one was the summer of Proust, because I really wanted to read Proust. One was the summer of rereading. I love to reread. So I reread a bunch of books that I've been meaning to reread. This summer, I'm having the summer of Abraham Lincoln as storyteller. Abraham Lincoln, there's so many ways that you could study Abraham Lincoln. He's such a towering force and it's such a towering influence. But one of the things that's always particularly interested me is people always talk about how he was such a gifted communicator because of the way that he could tell stories and use jokes and bring people together and get people to agree with him just through his ability to communicate that way. And listen, you know me, I love a teaching story. I love a secret of adulthood. I love an aphorism. I love a quotation. So I'm very interested in learning more about how he harnessed that power. So it's a specific aspect of the Abraham Lincoln story, but I'm super excited. I've got a stack of books that I'm going to launch into.
It kind of goes with your love of Winston Churchill. He was also the great communicator.
He is. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that was my favorite part of studying Winston Churchill was just his absolute mastery of words. I learned so much from studying the way that he wrote and spoke. Well, another thing for me is, like I said, I want to come up with new family traditions for the 4th of July, because I feel like that's, at least in the United States, that's the height of summer is July 4th, which makes sense. It is halfway day of the year. How about you? How are you thinking about your summer this year?
Well, Gretch, so often my summers have been like falls.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot.
Because in Hollywood, a lot of times that's when things are in television are really gearing up, is in summer. But of course, everything has changed so much that it's not as much the case anymore. And as it happens this summer, I do have more of a summer situation.
Yeah.
Which is good, Gretchen, because you and I have planned a big summer adventure together that we are so excited about.
Yes. So Elizabeth, you and I had been wanting to go on a big sisterly adventure together. And one of the things we'd been thinking about was a big hiking trip. You love to hike. You hike all the time. I love to hike. I hike more rarely, but we thought that would be a fun thing to do. And, so often when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I was randomly talking to somebody I don't even know very well. And she was telling me all about this hiking trip that she and her friends did and how great it was. And I said, oh, I've been thinking about, my sister and I have been talking about this. She said, absolutely, check it out. So we looked it up. It's Wilderness, England. And we are going on the Northumberland and Lake District hiking trip. And we are so excited.
Yes, Gretchen. We researched this. We contacted Wilderness, England. and told them what we wanted to do. And they said they would partner with us for this. So we are going to go to England. We are going to be walking about.
Yes.
Much walking about 7 or 8 miles a day.
Yeah.
And we're going to give listeners an inside scoop as we do it, what it's like. We are planning to have a lot of big insights.
Yes, we're planning our insights now.
Yes, we are going to be thinking about things. We are going to be experiencing like what we get from walking every day and being in nature and meeting people. So I'm just so excited. It's also part of your open door, your new open door.
Yes, one of the things that I want to do in this open door period is to travel more, have big adventures. And, the door is open for all of us to come and go. And so I'm really excited. Elizabeth, you and I always love our sisterly adventures. We haven't had a major one in a while. Seeing the Lake District is a bucket list thing for me. I've read so much English literature, and there's so much about the beauty of this area and people going on these long walks. I've always wanted to do it, so this is really exciting. It is a little bit stressful for me because I was going on a hike. I was in Arizona. I went on a hike and I slid on some rocks and I hurt my toe. And foolishly, I thought, oh, it's not hurt that bad. I'll just keep walking on it and it will be fine. And so it wasn't hurting very badly, but then I walked on it a lot and then it got bad. And then I started getting extremely worried. And basically with a toe, it's like, well, wear loose-fitting shoes and stay off your toe. So I have been trying to stay off my toe. It's hard, especially if you live in New York City. Yes. We walk so much just day to day. It's hard to really stay off a toe. Even going to the Met and walking around, I haven't been doing that.
Wow.
But it is getting better. So
Good.
I feel confident that it will be fine by the time that we go. But that was giving me a little bit of anxiety. Because part of what's fun about this is all these challenging hiking, which we think will be really, really fun.
Yes. And we're getting all of our stuff together. We had to get hiking boots and a day pack and water containers and all of these things. So we'll be talking a lot more about this on the podcast. Very excited. If anyone wants to look up and see what we're doing, it's Wilderness England. And we are doing the Northumberland and Lake District trip in July.
Yeah, there's so many trips that look cool, but that was the one that we just couldn't resist. But Elizabeth, on a more modest note, one thing I want to get done this summer is I want to have a family picnic. Nothing sounds more pleasant than a picnic in the summer. So I want to make that happen.
I love that idea.
And another thing that I did, I don't know, I give myself these assignments. I decided to do a 5 senses portrait of summer, past and present. And that was a super fun thing to do, just to think about what are the 5 senses of summer?
Oh, you love doing the 5 senses portraits, and they're almost like diaries.
Yeah, this one I did. I could have done it all present, but I guess we're not in summer yet. But I just wanted to get in that summer mode. And it was super fun. I'll post a photograph of it in the show notes. But it reminded me that somebody said that they used their 5 senses journal for the seasons. And I thought that was an interesting thing to do, too.
And Gretch, Design Your Summer is really kind of part of our larger Design Your Year theme.
Yeah, because the fact is when we think about, well, what do we want and how might we get what we want or why are we not getting what we want, we're much better able to create the lives we want. And we're much better able to create the lives that we're aiming for. And as we always say, something that can happen at any time often happens at no time. So using the calendar as a catalyst for reflection is really useful. So you can use January 1st, but you can also use summertime so we can identify what we want to have happen and figure out how to get there.
And Gretchen, I love in your app, the Happier app, you have the spin the wheel feature where you can spin it during the day and it'll give you a little task.
Yeah.
And you have made, for the month of June, the spin the wheel all about Design Your Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gretchen, I did it and it was so much fun. I got Identify a Bird.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is a great one. And so I'm going to do it every day in June and have fun with that.
Yeah. You get 3 chances to spin the wheel if you want to do more than one thing or for some reason you want to skip one. It's every day in June. And I would love it if people share what they got and what they're doing in social media. It's so fun to see. Just use the hashtag Design Your Summer and maybe I'll repost it. It's so fun to see how people are making the most of the season and design your summer. I mean, we do this every year because it really does help us get more fun out of summer.
Like Robertson Davies said.
Yeah, and Robertson Davies said, adventures are what make a summer. And so, Elizabeth, you and I are having a major adventure and hopefully a lot of minor adventures too. So let us know if you do try this at home and how you're planning to design your summer. And let us know what you got when you spun the wheel in the Happier app. Let us know on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Drop us an email at podcast@gretchenrubin.com. Or as always, you can go to the show notes, go to happiercast.com/486 for everything related to this episode.
Coming up, we've got a happiness hack that will help you distinguish what you've got when you've got something ailing you. But first, this break. The weather's getting warmer, so it's time to say goodbye to jackets and sweaters and hello to shorts and tees. Gretchen, I am always on the hunt for the perfect t-shirt, and I found it at Quince. So well priced, such good quality. I am in love with the slub crew neck tee. I have it in white. I'm getting it in black, possibly multiples. I love it so much.
The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the costs of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. Get warm weather ready with Quince. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Gretchen to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. I now work with a team, and I am here to say that finding the right candidate and hiring the right candidate is one of the very biggest and most important challenges to anyone who has a small business.
LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Gretchen. That's linkedin.com/Gretchen to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, Gretchen, we're back with this week's happiness hack, which is how to tell if you've got COVID, spring allergies, or a cold.
Yes, and the information here was taken from a New York Times article, so I'll post a link to the entire article if you want to read it. But I thought this was really helpful because it says by considering your symptoms, there's often a very clear signal of what's wrong with you. So first of all, if you have a fever of 100.4 or higher, it is probably COVID or another virus. Allergies rarely cause high fevers.
If you have an upset stomach, it's probably COVID or flu because allergies don't usually cause that.
If you have body aches, again, it's probably COVID or the flu or a cold, not allergies.
If you have itchy eyes, ears, or throat, it is probably allergies because COVID doesn't cause itchiness.
Now, if you have sudden severe fatigue, that's probably COVID. So allergies can make you tired, but that's more like, I need a nap, whereas COVID is more like, I can't get out of my chair. I'm so tired.
And if allergy medications work, like an antihistamine, then probably it is just allergies.
Right.
Obviously, a COVID test will help you determine this, but sometimes we don't have tests or they can be hard to get for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a COVID test at home, this can lead you in the direction of figuring out what you've got.
Just from my observation, it seems like people have like a couple symptoms and then they're just sort of, it could be anything. And it's like, well, actually, if you really think about your symptoms, you probably know what it is. And then you know how to proceed. So yes. I thought that was very helpful.
Yes.
And now for a know yourself better question. And Elizabeth, I love this know yourself better question. And it's particularly well timed since we're thinking about our big adventure, our hiking trip in England. And it's the question of, if you have to choose, do you prefer comfort or adventure? So, Elizabeth, do you prefer comfort or adventure?
Well, Gretch, I thought about this when you asked me, and what I realized is it depends who I'm with.
Ooh,
So if
interesting.
I'm in charge, if I feel like I'm going to be the person in charge, I prefer comfort. But
Mm.
if someone else is in charge, I prefer adventure. So a great example of this is Sarah. So Sarah, my writing partner, co-host of Happier in Hollywood, when Sarah and I are together traveling, she's more in charge. She's just better at being in charge. And so I feel very safe with her making decisions and knowing that she'll figure out what needs to be done. So I love our adventures. But if I'm in charge, let's say, of planning a family trip, I prefer comfort. And it's just because it's easier and I feel more confident when I'm planning comfort.
Yeah, adventure always feels riskier.
Yeah.
The stakes are higher. It's a lot more challenging to plan something adventurous. I think that's just part of what's so great about this England trip is they're doing all the hard planning.
Yes.
We have to get there. We have to make sure like we have the right hiking boots or whatever. But the itinerary, how far do you go? What do you do if it's raining really hard? Where is everybody going to eat? We have all the fun, but somebody else is doing the hard planning. So we can have the adventure without being responsible for the adventure.
Exactly. And Gretch, you have another adventure you're going on.
Yes. Okay. So I had talked about back in Design Your Year when I was doing my 24 for 24. I said I wanted to plan a big family trip to Japan. And then Jamie said, I really can't go to Japan. He took on this big role as being chairman of the New York City Housing Authority. Plus he's got his whole day job. He's like, I just can't go to Japan. So then I crossed it off the list. Then my daughter Eliza was like, happiness bullied me and told me all of my research, everything I've always said about happiness, atmosphere of growth, novelty, adventure, time together, what's memorable, all this stuff. And so then I was like, okay, well, maybe Jamie can't go and Eleanor can't go, but we will still go to Japan. And for some reason, I have just always felt like something was going to happen and we weren't going to be able to go. I usually don't feel superstitious, but about this trip, I felt very superstitious. So Jamie and Eleanor cannot go, but Eliza, her girlfriend Caroline, and I are going. And again, superstitiously, I thought something's going to get in the way, but it looks like it's happening.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Yes, but it was funny. You call me a happiness bully. Well, I got it from Eliza. She gave me the happiness bullying treatment.
You've taught her well.
Yes, exactly. So I'm super, super excited. It's going to be amazing. I've always wanted to go to Japan my whole life.
So Gretchen, for the adventure versus comfort, it's a good distinction because it helps you know what you want at a particular time. Because, I think sometimes we want comfort, sometimes we want adventure. And if you're with somebody who really leans one way or the other,
yes,
that's good to know because then you can understand why you might be having conflict about making plans. And by the way, it doesn't just have to be about a trip. Comfort or adventure can be, are we going to go to a movie today or are we going to go walk around a neighborhood we've never been to?
Yes.
It can be small or it can be big.
Right. And it can help you work out conflict because you can understand why something that sounds very appealing to you does not sound appealing to someone else. Because if you keep suggesting adventure after adventure after adventure and nothing's working for them, they might just seem like, well, they don't want to have any fun, but it's actually because they're seeking comfort or vice versa. If you want comfort, but somebody wants novelty and challenge, it's easier to understand how you can arrive at something that's going to work for both of you if you understand why you might be feeling that difference.
Or let them go have an adventure with someone else.
Right, exactly. But then you would know why. Then it would be like, it's not personal. It's just that I'm looking for something else with this afternoon or this weekend or this vacation or whatever.
Yeah, Gretch, so you're having two major adventures.
I am so incredibly lucky. This is amazing. As I said, I didn't think that I was going to be able to do this Japan trip, and now I am. And we're going on this amazing hiking trip. I feel so, so, so fortunate. And that's why I was worried about that toe. That toe has got to work for me.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel so lucky about the summer that I have ahead of me.
So Gretchen, as always, when we understand ourselves better, when we know ourselves better, it helps our relationships with other people.
Exactly.
Okay, Gretchen, now we have a listener question.
Yes, this comes from Fair. She says, questioner here. I have a happiness stumbling block around being an outgoing friend. I'm someone who puts a lot of effort into my friendships. I make sure we have regular time together on the calendar. I reach out with text to check in. I remember birthdays or important events, and so on. I'm also described as outgoing and friendly. I'm in the parents of young children part of life, and I'm the mom at the playground who introduces myself to new parents, asks for their number, and makes sure they're included in the next group get-together. I show up at all the school events and belong to a community club, so I'm constantly meeting new people. I really value this as part of my personality. However, I sometimes get a rebellion-type feeling and shut down. I stop reaching out to anyone at all and avoid these common places. It's not that I'm angry that other people aren't at my level, and oftentimes people do pick up the slack and reach out. But it's like every once in a while, I need a 2-week recharge. Eventually, time passes and my stamina returns and I'm back to my outgoing self. Is this common? Is there a way to reframe this that feels more positive than negative? Well, I think this is so positive. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's great. She knows she needs a rest.
Yes.
She takes her rest and then she goes back to it. If you never took a rest, you might end up burning out and stopping forever.
Yes. Or feeling so resentful that then you're not friendly to people because you just see them as like work to be done. But this way, you really are able to maintain this extremely high and admirable level of connecting of other people. It is so hard to be the person who is this connector. I hope that everybody in your life recognizes what you're doing to help knit people together. Gertrude Stein said of Apollinaire that he had the quality of bringing people together, and that after he died, people sort of fell apart. And, some people really do have this quality, and it's extremely hard work, and it's extremely important and admirable.
Yes. And so I think just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing everything right.
Yeah. And it's great that Farrah is taking on this identity and sort of taking pride in it and recognizing that it is part of who she is, because sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for an identity. But she did. She's saying, this is a role that I played. This is an identity. And she also recognizes that others might not be as comfortable playing that role. It's just not in everybody's character and temperament to feel comfortable being that outgoing. So it's great that she's doing it, and great that she realizes that it is something that is like kind of a superpower for her.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, coming up, I give myself a corgi-related demerit. But first, this break. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Gretch, this year has gone by so fast.
Yeah.
You and I love thinking about years as a whole. We love thinking about what we want to do in a year, what we want to accomplish. We love looking back on the year. Well, there is still time to have a lot happen in this year. And one thing that can really help when you're trying to tackle something big is therapy. I know that for me, anytime I've struggled or wanted to figure out something big, speaking to a therapist has made a huge difference.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time. Take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/Gretchen Rubin today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Gretchen Rubin. You've heard us talk about Great Jones and their stunning high-quality cookware. Well, I have to say, since I got my Saucy, I have found it much more fun to cook. The Saucy is a terrific saucepan with curved sides, a pouring spout. It comes with a lid. It looks gorgeous just sitting there. It makes it easier and more fun to cook. And I realized that that's the exact intention of Great Jones. As a women-run New York-based brand, Great Jones wants to equip and empower people to cook at home and make kitchen our happy place.
So whether you're baking sourdough, cooking scrambled eggs, or looking to transform your kitchen into your happy place at a great price, we could agree that it's time to upgrade from those old rusted hand-me-downs to the bold, beautiful, long-lasting pieces from Great Jones like we did. Get started today at greatjones.com and get an extra 15% off your first order with promo code HAPPIER. That's greatjones.com, promo code HAPPIER.
One thing that can be really frustrating as a parent is you see your child struggling with a specific subject. They need help with their homework, or maybe they're asking questions on their homework that, you as a parent do not feel equipped to answer. IXL Learning is an online learning program for kids. It covers math, language arts, science, and social studies. IXL is designed to help them really understand and master topics in a fun way with positive feedback. I remember how much Eleanor struggled with math, and I was not able to help her, and having IXL would have really, really benefited her.
If your child is struggling, this is the smartest investment you can make. IXL is used in 95 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Happier listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/happier. Visit IXL.com/happier to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
Okay, Alyssa, it's time for Demerits and Gold Stars. What is your demerit about corgis?
Oh my gosh, Gretch. Well, I'm giving myself a demerit for the lack of training, dog training for our corgis. We did try when they were puppies, but like so many, we've fallen off the training and they are barking so much. They are jumping on people. I think corgis aren't known to be the easiest dogs to train. Plus, we haven't helped by just, again, falling off of it. But I hosted Mahjong the other night and the corgis were not well behaved. And it was just, it was very distracting. I felt bad. You know how it is. You want your dog to behave.
Yeah.
So I think Adam and I need to get back on the train of the dog training.
Well, I have a few responses. One is Barnaby is totally untrained as well. So I share that demerit. He's an older dog, so he's more chill. But that's just because that's the way he is, not because of our training. And, they always say it's not the dog's fault. It's the people. It's the people who need to be trained.
Yes.
And the one thing I would say is I just think it's hilarious that corgis can jump. They are so low to the ground and so kind of squat that it is always kind of comical to me to see them get up off of their little legs because it just seems like they couldn't be able to do it.
Well, let me tell you, it's like a tank. I mean, they're small, but they are strong. They're all muscle.
Oh, yeah.
And when they jump on you, you feel it.
Yeah, it could be hard if they're really enthusiastic. Yeah.
We need to do some work. That can be part of design my summer. I need to get to work on having more well-behaved dogs.
Not the most fun part of having a dog.
Okay, Gretch, what's your gold star?
Okay. We've recently gone to my college reunion and also my husband Jamie's college reunion, and they are super fun. I love going to reunions, and I want to give a gold star to all the students who work the reunions. Now, from what I can observe, what was true when I was in college is true today, which is that a way that people make money is they work the reunions. You get trained up to be a bartender or to do whatever, point people around, register people. And that's the way people made money right after school let out. And these students, they just could not have been more friendly and more cheerful, more helpful. All these people are bumbling around and they just stayed, I'm sure they're answering the same questions a bazillion times, or they're standing there pouring drinks for 3 hours. And they were just always so nice. And I want to just give a gold star to all the students who were working the reunions. I feel like such an old fogey by saying oh, they were so well-mannered and friendly. You know what I mean? But they were.
Gold star to those students.
Yes. And the resource for this week. Earlier this year, I started my 5 things to try this month. That's an edition of my 5 things newsletter. And people love this. People love things to try. Each issue, I feature 5 practical tools and strategies to help us all achieve our goals. For instance, in a recent one of the 5 things to try newsletter, I highlighted this really great online tool that helps you break down overwhelming tasks into manageable steps. That's called Goblin Tools, which is super fun. So if this sounds intriguing, you can subscribe to get more insights and tools at happiercast.com/newsletter. And Elizabeth, what are we reading? What are you reading?
I'm reading Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz.
And I am reading The Sand Castle by Iris Murdoch. And that's it for this episode of Happier. Remember to try this at home. Design your summer. Let us know, what are you designing into your summer? We are always on the lookout for more ideas.
Thank you to our executive producer, Chuck Reed, and everyone at Odyssey. Get in touch. Gretchen's on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm on Instagram and Threads at Liz Craft.
And if you like the show, please rate us. Give us those 5 stars. You know we love a gold star. We love those 5 stars. And here is your rhyming reminder. Love what you hear? Tell a peer.
Until next week, I'm Elizabeth Craft.
And I'm Gretchen Rubin. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward. So listen, I have to ask. So what did Daisy and Nacho do at the Mahjong get-together that was mischievous?
Well, they just were really jumping on people when they were sitting around the table. And so then I was trying to get them to be quiet. So I gave them each like a little chew thing, but then they started fighting over the chew thing in a crazy manner. And so everyone was just watching in horror as I was dealing with this situation. And I felt very self-conscious about my corgis. And I didn't feel my corgi pride.
Your Corgi Nation.
My Corgi Nation pride.
Well, they are mischievous dogs.
But so cute.
But so cute. From the Onward Project.
TuneIn is the audio platform with something for everyone. News.
In order to secure convictions in a court of law, it is essential that we conclusively.
Sports.
Shot clock at 4. Doncic. The step back 3. You bet.
Music.
You set my world on fire. Yes,
and even podcasts. Whatever you love, hear it right here on TuneIn. Go to TuneIn.com or download the TuneIn app to start listening.